It may only be May, but I don't know about you. I'm ready for some NFL football. The Washington Commanders are holding their rookie minicamp this weekend. We'll hear from second-round pick Trey Amos and discuss where he'll fit in to the secondary. The Capitals don't quite have their backs against the wall, but it's getting pretty close. We'll discuss where do they go from a tough Game 3 loss. And in less than 24 hours, the course of the future for the Washington Wizards franchise could be completely altered. We're talking NBA draft lottery and more. All that coming up right now on Game Night.
The only 7-day-a-week sports show in the DMV. From DC News Now, this is Game Night.
Welcome into Game Night. I'm your host, Alex Flum. We had some actual football action in Ashburn this weekend. The Washington Commanders holding their rookie minicamp, part one of in-person off-season work and year two of the Dan Quinn coaching staff. They were having fun out there with that bags drill. I'll give you some of my thoughts from being out there. Powerful offensive lineman, first-round pick Josh Connerly. He's got some serious burst and speed for a big guy. Trey Amos looks like to be a solid addition to the secondary in terms of day 3 picks. Jalen Lane, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. He's got some wheels. You just see it in this video. Should make an impact on offense and special teams. And then on the other side of the ball, linebacker Kane Medrano looking like a versatile addition to this defense, reunited with his college linebackers coach Ken Norton. And at the back end, watch out for 7th-round pick running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who, by the way, guys at home, he goes by Bill. I think he could turn out to be one of the biggest late-round steals in this draft. This Commanders draft class, a small group of 5 guys, but we'll see what impact they can make. And we got the most impactful DC sports media personality, Linnell Willingham from 106.7 The Fan in the house tonight. Good to see you, Linnell.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, and I got to ask you, do you know why Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt goes by Bill?
I don't know, but it's a badass nickname is what I would say. I'm just a Bill. What?
Not that one, but Little Bill. You ever watch Little Bill when you were a kid?
Of course.
He said that when he was a kid, people used to tell him he looked like Little Bill, and they just called him Bill.
Well, there we go. It's fitting. I hope he is able to score a lot of touchdowns and make us happy like Little Bill made me in my childhood.
Little Bill, when he scores a touchdown, will be Little Bill into the end zone.
Let's do it.
Kind of like it. So let's get into it. 2 drafts down for Commanders general manager Adam Peters, and it seems like Linnell, he really knows how to find value. And in the second round this year, it seems like he really might have gotten a value pick in cornerback Trey Amos out of Ole Miss with the 61st overall pick. Peters said after taking him that they thought about taking Amos in the first round, and they were not going to pass on him twice. It's believed that Amos slid in the draft because of a concern surrounding a back injury. Now, when asked about that injury on Saturday, both head coach Dan Quinn and Amos did not seem worried.
Each team has their own medical report and how it goes, and so from our club, it was something that we were comfortable with.
Everything's good, you know. I'm out here still competing, practicing every day, so really no, signs.
Amos should bolster a group in the secondary that has improved significantly thanks to the moves that Peters has made. The rookie says he's excited to learn from players like Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Sainristil as he finds his place on the team.
The group, we can all build off each other, so just being a great teammate, helping each other out, just learning from each other, just building that chemistry. I feel like that could really just build our DB group and a whole different level.
All right, so Trey Amos, we know we have a little bit of the injury concerns, but it seems like he's looking okay right now, at least in rookie camp. Linnell, where do you think he fits into the secondary? How fired up are you about adding him into the mix on that defense?
I'm about to say he really changes the dynamic of their secondary, man. If he can, get a stranglehold on that cornerback spot opposite Marshawn Lattimore, it gives you that flexibility to then kick Mikey Sainristil back into the inside, let him play that slot cornerback position. But here's the thing, right? They added Jonathan Jones in free agency as well. You got Noah Igbenogany coming back. It's going to be a lot of competition in this Washington Commanders secondary, especially in that cornerback room. But I think the ideal thing for Washington is if he can, win that job opposite Marshawn Lattimore, I think all is well for this Commanders secondary. The thing I love about Trey Amos, you mentioned the length. This guy has a competitive nature about him that I think will fit right in with this Washington Commanders secondary. We know Marshawn Lattimore was very chippy last year. And the thing that I love about him, he had to transfer a couple of different times. Started off at Alabama, then he finished his last year at Ole Miss, first time as a full-time starter, and he rose to the occasion going up against some of the top wide receivers in the SEC. So I think this kid is big time. If he can hold down that spot opposite Lattimore, I think it really changes what they can do defensively.
Yeah, we saw what Samerstill was already able to do as a rookie.
Yeah.
Imagine what he can come in here and do. And it's so interesting to think. A year ago, we were talking about Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juste, two, great guys to cover. We enjoy covering them, great people. But, I think the talent in the secondary has improved a lot. Let's take a look right now at what this defensive secondary cornerback specifically looks like. Obviously, Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Samerstill, Noah Benogany, Trey Amos coming to the mix, and then Jonathan Jones, another name to watch, Kevon Seymour. So when you look at this, how do you feel about where that shakes out?
Competition everywhere all the time. The old Pete Carroll mantra that Dan Quinn has brought here to Washington. Look, I was talking about it on the radio the other day. There is no guarantee that Trey Amos wins that job outside opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. I know it's the big talking point, and it really is that chess piece that allows this defense to get into its final form, so to speak. I think with Mikey Samerstill and Jonathan Jones, he's going to have to beat both of those guys out on the perimeter as well. I think Mikey Samerstill showed it last year as a rookie that it was not too big for him playing that outside corner spot. I say all that to say this. Trey Amos is the real deal. He should win that job, but it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't start right away. We know the old competition mantra. So.
Well, what makes me nervous is you got Malik Neighbors in the conference. You got that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith in the conference. So you got to bolster that secondary. So we'll see what happens with that. I want to talk a little bit of hockey here tonight. Capitals fans, take last night's game and forget about it, right? That's probably the right thing to do because...
Yeah, after the first 20 minutes, it was not very pretty. But I will say this. Their backs are against the wall officially, I think.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity, you're facing the possibility of going down 3-1. If you're able to win tomorrow night, this is now a best-of-3 series. You have to win 2 games on home ice, and then you advance. So I think if you're able to do that, and you're the Caps, you feel good about your situation.
All right, well, let's hear what the Caps had to say about it. Ahead of Game 4, the Capitals are confident that they can turn this series around, but it won't be easy in that rowdy environment at Carolina. After losing Game 3 at Montreal in the first series, the Caps won the next 2 games to take the series in 5. They'll try to follow a similar formula on Monday.
A lot of good things to take from it, a lot of good things to learn and move on and, turn the page and got a chance to get home ice back tomorrow night.
We split at home. Now our job is to split here. We have next game to get ready for. There's no panic, like I said.
It was no different in Montreal when you lose Game 3. That's what the postseason's about. We got a lot of experienced guys who've been through this before. Back against the wall, difficult game. Game 4 in their building after losing Game 3, for sure. But it's an opportunity to even the series.
Game 4 of the series will be Monday night, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. in Raleigh. The Capitals will look to even the series ahead of Game 5 in Washington. So, Linnell, we saw the Caps do it in the first series. They had a horrible Game 3, bounced back from that, and dominated the rest of the way. Do you think that it's going to happen in this one?
I feel like knowing this veteran-laden hockey team, I think Tom Wilson's going to get the fellas ready. It's been a chippy, physical series to this point, and I think what you've seen right through the first couple of games is the emotional highs and lows of a hockey game. Think about the way you were feeling after game number 1, where it kind of feels like the season is almost over, and then they bounce back in game number 2, and then obviously, last night, the tough dagger in the heart. But I think this group is in position right now to where if they win this series, I think they go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. So we'll see, man. I think Dylan Strome's been awesome in this series. You need your big-time players to step up tomorrow night because, look, like I continue to say, it is a must-win game tomorrow for Washington. You do not want to go down 3-1 against this team. They'd be really hard to beat 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and I don't mean to brag, but I said before the playoffs, beat Montreal in 5. I said they're going to lose Game 3 in Montreal, win that series in 5, which happened. I said they're going to beat Carolina in 7. We knew this was going to be a tough series. We know how good Carolina is. We know how much they can shoot the puck, and the Caps have actually done a pretty good job until late in the game last night, of limiting those chances. So I think the Caps do get it done in the series, but I am a little nervous about Toronto. But hey,
it won't be easy.
If they get to the conference finals, I think everybody's going to be happy, but they're going to be hungry for more.
Since you're making such great predictions, who am I going to marry?
I don't know about that tonight. We'll talk after the show. Maybe we can figure that out. Anyway, we only figure out sports predictions here, Linnell.
Wrong show.
We'll check the sports books for the odds on
for
Linnell
sure.
Willingham's future wife. All right, well, coming up on the show, we're going to talk more football. Jaden Daniels, people are saying, some people, that he might be the best quarterback in the NFL right now. We'll see what we think about that. Coming up next. Welcome back into Game Night, here again with Linnell Willingham, and there were some interesting thoughts on Jaden Daniels in the last week. Thoughts, I don't know if they're too crazy, but a little outlandish maybe.
We'll see.
So listen to this. CBS Sports, they put out a post-draft NFL quarterback power rankings this past week and listed Jaden Daniels as number 1 on the list. Here's the quote. "You'd be hard-pressed to find an NFL team that wouldn't claim him as its quarterback of the present and future, contenders included." Rounding out that top 5, this is, I think, the most crazy one. Jalen Hurts at number 2. I don't know what we're doing there. Joe Burrow 3, Lamar Jackson 4, and Josh Allen at number 5. So, Linnell, first off, initial thoughts on this, then I want to hear your top 5 NFL quarterbacks.
I agree with you. I think there's some recency bias with Jalen Hurts. I thought he had a really good playoff run for the Philadelphia Eagles, but I continue to feel like he is the most insulated quarterback in the NFL. So maybe pump the brakes on him being top 5. But let's get to my top 5.
Let's see your list. Let's pull that
here in the National Football League. A little recency bias for me, too, because Jaden Daniels is coming in at number 5. I will say this. I'm a fiend for football, right? Obviously, Alex. I've been rewatching some of the games from the end of the season, including that postseason run. The thing that's impressed me the most upon second review with Jaden Daniels, the control he had at the line of scrimmage as a rookie, Alex, I think is second to none. I now think about him in year 2 of this offense, adding weapons like Deebo Samuel and Jalen Lane, and then you get to build upon what you set as your baseline last year. I think he only gets better. The only reason I don't have him higher is because these other guys have done it, and have a little bit more longevity, right? Joe Burrow coming in at number 4, a guy that's played in the Super Bowl before. We know what type of quarterback he is for a long time. We were talking about him as that number 2 guy. Josh Allen, we know what he did a year ago, winning the MVP. Lamar Jackson, I think, is one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the National Football League. And then Patrick Mahomes. I know people are looking at that Super Bowl performance from Patty and going, but I think he was awesome. And you know what he's done over the course of his career.
All right, well, I got a slightly different list. So I'm going to pull mine up. So here we go. Okay. I agree. I got Jaden there at 5.
Okay.
Because, we'll talk more about Jaden, but he's already a pro's pro. He looks like he's a 5-year vet that's an all-pro player already. Joe Burrow, there's no questioning what he can do. I think if he was on a team that had a defense and anything besides receivers, he'd have a lot more success. Lamar, we just need to see him get it done in crunch time because until then, he's sitting there at number 3 for me. Mahomes and Allen, I thought a lot about this. And
now that's interesting.
It was tough for me because I've been a Mahomes bandwagon guy since the first year he was in the league, and I said this guy's elite already. And my former coworker, if he's watching, he would give me a lot of grief for that one. But Josh Allen, MVP. I elevate him to 1 because this isn't legacy, this isn't all time, this is right now. And I just think when you watch Josh Allen play, you could be at the 30-yard line, he just takes off and mauls 3 guys and he's in for a touchdown. I think he's had some really unfortunate things that have not gone his way that haven't been his fault. That guy and just certain unfortunate circumstances, but I think I think he got 1A and 1B and you could put him either way.
Real quick on Josh Allen, I think the most impressive thing about him last year, you see them strip him void of his weapons. Stephon Diggs no longer there. They bring in a guy like Curtis Samuel, who hasn't been a proven receiver over the course of his career, and Josh Allen puts up the best numbers in his career. So he's clearly a guy that can elevate others around him.
And Mahomes, we talk about the struggle in the Super Bowl, but he's there. It's like
every time.
Like saying, LeBron makes it to the NBA Finals, and But anyway, I want to push this conversation forward a little bit. Jaden Daniels, we both had him at number 5
for good reason.
Looking at this upcoming season, let's say he doesn't win MVP, he doesn't win the Super Bowl, but he has an incredible season and puts up maybe stats just as good as last year, maybe a little bit better. Does he move up this list for you? Do you think it's possible we're talking next year and it's Burrow, Mahomes, Jaden, or maybe Jaden even higher than that?
I'll tell you straight up. You're seeing it right here on the highlights. If he puts on another performance like this next year, Alex, I may call him the best quarterback in football. The only reason I feel like it's we don't talk about him like that as the number 1 quarterback is because it's a little premature. It's only 1 season. You got a little bit of a recency bias. Washington played a last place schedule last year. But the thing that I continue to believe in with him is the preparation. Think about the first things we heard about Jaden Daniels when he got to Ashburn. Not about how fast he was, not about how accurate he was. It's the work he was putting in the offseason. I continue to believe year 2 of this offense, you thought they got freaky last year on the offensive side of the football. I think, they turned this thing up another notch with the added weapons that they have. And then you add 2 bookend tackles in Tunsil and Josh Connolly. Now some of those deep shots that you didn't hit last year, maybe you have more time to do that.
How about this deep shot that he hit last year? I said things about Jaden that I said about Mahomes when he was first in the league. He was doing things in his first year as a starter that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. I mean, he's already inserted himself into that conversation, and I think it's just a matter of not having that sophomore slump. And talked to Scott Hansen, NFL Red Zone host, recently. He told me, no question, Jaden's not going to have a sophomore slump because he looked at C.J. Stroud. But I think Jaden's first year was way better than C.J. Stroud's first year, and Stroud's year was pretty darn good.
And I think 100% the difference between Daniels and Stroud to me is the mobility. That's why I think Jaden Daniels won't have that sophomore slump.
Well, I know we're excited to see him out there in training camp, and then when we get into the season in September as well, maybe a game in Spain too, as Dan Quinn's learning his Spanish. Yeah, get the mariachi out. Anyway, coming up, we got a lot more to discuss ahead. The NBA draft lottery tomorrow night. I know Linnell's excited because we might be ready to raise a flag here in Washington. We're going to talk about that coming up right after this. It has been a dismal stretch of basketball for the Washington Wizards over the last several years, but that all could be about to change tomorrow with the NBA Draft Lottery set for 7 p.m. in Chicago, where Bub Carrington will represent the Wizards. Of course, last year Bilal Coulibaly was there, and they got the second overall pick, with which they took Alex Sarr. The Wizards have a shot at earning the #1 overall pick again this year, which is expected to be Cooper Flagg, the superstar from Duke. Here's how it works. The Wizards have a 14% chance at securing the #1 overall pick, 13.4 for 2, 12.7 for 3, so on. If they don't land the top 4, they have nearly a 50% chance of getting the 5th or 6th pick. They cannot get anything after 6. The Wizards finished with the second worst record in the league. In that bottom 3, they have equal odds with Utah and Charlotte, 14% of getting that first pick. There's a 52.1% chance the Wizards will earn a top 4 pick, but obviously they want that #1 overall selection, Linnell. It would be a nightmare if they go into this draft lottery and they're picking 5th or 6th, because Cooper Flagg's sitting there 1. There's some other talent. If they land that top pick, if the ping pong balls bounce the right way, we get another John Wall situation here. How big would Cooper Flagg be for this franchise?
He is a franchise-altering talent. The idea of him and Alex Sarr anchoring your defensive front court for years to come, I think is absolutely awesome. But I'll say this real quick. If they don't land a top 3 or top 4 pick, I do think they'll have an opportunity to still get a good player here, Alex. But with Cooper Flagg, I think we saw it during the NCAA tournament, the Naismith National Player of the Year. He is special. I think in Washington, he also has the freedom to kind of get that offensive game untapped as well.
And the Wizards have so much young talent. Adding Cooper Flagg to the mix, I think, would be a pretty big deal. Let's take a look at some of the other talented players at the top of this draft, Linnell. It starts with a couple guys from Rutgers, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, as well as VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, Con Knuppel from Duke, and then we could have gone a lot of different ways with the 5th guy on this list. I wanted to give the Maryland guy who played high school basketball with Cooper Flagg some love, Derek Queen. So out of this list, or maybe someone else, who would be your #2 pick if the Wizards land the 2nd pick again?
I think it's got to be Dylan Harper, the son of NBA champion Ron Harper, bringing that championship pedigree into the organization. 6'6", left-handed bucket getter. Drawn comparisons to James Harden. You just saw Cade Cunningham in the first round of the postseason go Kanye crazy against the New York Knicks. He is that type of athlete. The only question I have about bringing Dylan Harper into the fold, what does it mean for the logjam you all of a sudden would have in your backcourt? Marcus Smart, A.J. Johnson, Bub Carrington, just to name a few guards that the Wizards have under contract. But I do think Dylan Harper is that type of franchise-altering talent as well. The two-man game of him and Alex Sarr could be lethal for years to come.
What I like, and you see it here, is that he is a great three-point shooter, but he can get to the hoop and he can drive it. In today's NBA, when you have that ability to shoot the deep ball and you have the ability to drive, you know, as a star player, if that's what he becomes, I think that'd be great. But again, I think we want Cooper Flagg here, right?
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I think Flagg obviously the better of the two prospects, but, you know, Dylan Harper, not a bad consolation prize. The one thing that I look at with Cooper Flagg coming here is, you know, I think it brings national media attention here as well.
Yeah, well, we will see what happens, and hopefully the Wizards land that top pick tomorrow. Well, coming up on the show, we got some trivia for Linnell, and we're going to check in on the Washington Nationals as they are trying to avoid a sweep this weekend. Highlights coming up right after this. All right, we're jumping right into the Nationals highlights. Taking on the Cardinals down 2-0 in the 4th. Nathaniel Lowe trying to help them back into the game. Solo shot to left. That certainly helps things. Makes it 2-1. We go to the 9th, 6-1 Cardinals. Check this out. Dylan Cruz, left center. Woo! Dive and catch. Makes that grab, Linnell. And the Nationals, though, it's a great catch, but they're going to go on to lose 6-1. Second time they have been swept this season. They fall to the Cardinals in this game. Mackenzie Gorgo, 6 2/3. Anyway, today is Mother's Day. I do want to give a shout out to my mom, Annette Torchinsky, at home, a loyal viewer of our show. I think she's responsible for half the people that watch our show. She tells everyone in the whole DC area about it. Love you very much. Thank you for supporting me all the
Look
time.
at that.
Happy Mother's Day. Linnell says hi also.
For sure. My favorite mom.
All right, well, let's get into some trivia. Let's jump right into it, Linnell. We're doing
What do you
DC
got?
sports athlete birthplaces. I give you the city. You got to tell me who the athlete is. We're going to start off with Moscow, Russia.
Alex Ovechkin.
Good job, good job. Only Maryland.
James Wood.
Yes, keep it up. Good job. You're doing well. I've read these to Jake before the show. I called him up. You're doing better than him. Fontana, California.
Fontana, California. Jaden Daniels.
Yep, 3 for 3. Tafuna, American Samoa.
Samoan athlete in DC sports. I'm blanking. Pass on it.
Commanders.
Samoan
Defense.
commander. Oh, Frankie Lou.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe we get some music too, if possible, as we go through these. It might help Linnell. Toronto, Canada. There we go.
Toronto, Canada.
From the Capitals, obviously.
Canadian from the Caps.
Star player.
Dylan Strom.
Tom Wilson.
Tommy Wilson.
Tom Wilson.
You're gonna crush him.
I think Strom might be from Canada, Toronto as well. We'll check after. I think he is from Toronto. So you know what? That counts. Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Francis Tiafoe.
No, this is a team athlete from the Commanders, defensive player again.
Team athlete from the Commanders from Haiti.
We talked about it on the show tonight.
Trey Amos.
Mike Sanders still.
Is from Haiti?
Yeah, Newport Beach, California, from the Spirit.
Oh. Mikey.
From the Spirit, Newport Beach, California.
Tiffany Robin.
Trinity Robin. There you go. We got one more for you. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, from the Commanders.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama,
Offense.
from the Commanders. Offense. Brian Robinson.
There you go. Good stuff. Finish on.
I'm sorry, Trinity.
Linnell Willingham,
Jeez.
thanks to the crew behind the scenes. I'm Alex Flum. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.